All right, we continue with the IoT stream here. Some amazing stuff going on. Right now at the IoT Hackathon, I've been told by our partners from Concirrus and Microsoft that there were some truly amazing things already created, like driving a car with special sensors and stuff like this. So probably we'll be trying to integrate this into the agenda later on here while the startup pitches are going on. So please stay tuned. We would love to showcase the current developments of the hackers upstairs. Thanks again for being here. I know how hard it was for you. I already mentioned this morning when I woke up, I said, "Oh, isn't it over?" I mean, it was so hard to make the first step out of the bed after 4 a.m. partying. But probably I was already asking, would you like us to keep the party or we should remove it for the next year? What do you say? So quiet. It's never been that quiet at Webit. I mean, how many of you have been to the party last night? All right. Did you like it? Do we keep it next year? Yeah? Do we invite some other company like VH1, or we invite the Turkish national television with for a party sponsor, or you want the fashion TV again? I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I know. I got it. I got it. Okay. Thank you very much. We continue with the stream. Thank you.
He has established himself as a thought leader in the Internet of Things, following a long and successful track record in telematics and extensive experience of fast-growth business strategies, turnarounds, mergers, and acquisitions. By co-founding Concirrus, he aimed to make it easy for companies to design, build, and operate solutions for the Internet of Things. From the UK to Istanbul, Andrew YEOMAN, CEO, joins the Webit stage. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Good morning, everybody. So, as the lady there said, I'm Chief Executive of Concirrus. We're a company in the Internet of Things. So we've established a bold position in that we think the Internet of Things is going to fundamentally change every single business that exists. So I'm going to tell you why we believe that's the case, and I'm going to tell you how that's likely to happen. This year was an interesting year for me because I turned 50 years old. Which is interesting because it means I'm old enough to have experienced quite a few things and young enough to remember them. I know that's going to change one way or the other. In preparing for today, I read a book which got published in 2002. So I lived in the Silicon Valley in the late 1990s when the internet came about. And in 2002, they reviewed what had happened. And this guy, John Cassidy, wrote a very famous book that said, as you say, and concludes, the internet, it transpires, wasn't a disruptive technology. It's difficult to think of a single example where it disrupted something, and it's a mistaken premise that it operated a new way of doing business. I think it's about as wrong as it's possible to be, making a statement like that, because it's obvious in hindsight, looking back, that the internet has changed every aspect of our lives. So we believe that same thing is going to happen with the Internet of Things. The challenge is, how do you start and how do you get there? So our proposition is quite simple. We believe that it's going to change things. So our business model is to help customers design business models using the Internet of Things that creates, disrupts, and improves the way of doing business. So a quick thing about the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, what is it? It's essentially a series of sensors. A lot of people have talked about machine-to-machine, and machine-to-machine and Internet of Things are very closely linked. The difference between the two is that data can be shared and reused. So we've got on the stage here a sensor that's monitoring the room here, and we're going to attempt to show the data coming back from that. But using this data, you can change business models. Let me give you a couple of examples. We're going to talk through, actually let me disaggregate that in the Internet of Things, lots of people talk about connectivity. There's lots of ways of getting connected. We're not worried about that today. Lots of people talk about devices and what you can measure and how you can measure. We're not going to talk about that. Lots of people talk about platforms. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about business models. So if I go back to pre-internet, and we'll talk about this in the case of insurance, people did business by letter, by fax, etc. And what the internet has allowed you to do is to collapse that distance and have a direct relationship. The relationships now through social media and LinkedIn, etc., you're now able to address communities of people. With the Internet of Things, we're not only able to address the people, but the assets and devices around them. In every single business model that we look at, the business process is made up of actions that you take, things that you know, and things that you don't know. So if you're a company that's doing service and repair, for example, in this room, you know where the room is, you know where how many lights there are in the room, but you don't know what's going to break. And because you don't know what's going to break, you have a warehouse full of spares and parts. If I knew what was going to break and when it was going to break, I could change the way I do business. And that's what the Internet of Things is about. So the creation of value becomes quite interesting, because it's not just about the technology, it's about how you embed that in the way that you do business and make an agile business. And I'm going to illustrate what's going on in the world of insurance and car insurance to show you how the Internet of Things is happening. And we'll explore some of the things that are being explored without any judgment on whether we think it's good or bad, but we'll talk about them. So if you were a car insurer for years, this process was quite simple, because for every 100 people that you insure, you knew that 10 were a good risk, 10 were a bad risk, and that was the way that the world worked. But technology has changed the insurance industry. I'm going to illustrate with some UK names, because I'm not overtly familiar with the local markets, but it'll illustrate the point. So back in 1995, if you wanted car insurance, you would go to a broker in the high street. A company in the UK launched called Direct Line. And using technology, in that case just using phone-based relationships, they established relationships direct with the customer and took the brokers out. They operated a new business model. When the internet came about in 2005, a process of disintermediation occurred, and there were comparison websites popped up, and they could allow you to compare multiple insurers. And what happened there was the insurance companies had lost their relationship directly with their customers, and the aggregators got the power. What's interesting about that is that the aggregators' business model could not work without the technology. In 2010, approximately, machine-to-machine technology and telematics-based insurance in the car has allowed the insurers to do something called disaggregation. So if I look at those 100 drivers, I can now see which 10 represent good risk, which 10 represent bad risk, and which 80 are in the middle. And I can actively manage the bad risk out of my book. So a headline statistic on this is that if you're an 18-year-old in the UK, the average insurance premium is £3,500, unless you have a telematics box. If you have a telematics box, the average premium is £1,800. What's interesting about those two premiums is on £3,500, the insurers lose money. On £1,800, the insurers make money. But they can't operate it without the technology. So the next stage we see with the Internet of Things is aggregated insight or mass customization. And what it allows me to do is, by taking information from multiple places, it allows me to offer every single individual or company a very, very tailored policy that reflects the risk that they as an individual have. So we disaggregate that further. And we're starting to see this now. So our platform, and the way that we work, is that we simply suck data in from a variety of sources and organize that against sets of business rules. So in the Internet of Things, we can discover data sources and map that and pay attention to it. So I'll give you an example. One of our customers has decided to go after the crash market, so what happens in the event of a crash. And using this platform, they're able to go to the telematics providers, and when a vehicle crashes, because unfortunately they do, it creates a real-time crash packet and immediately opens up a case in the back office of the insurer. So within 3 seconds of a vehicle having an accident, they know where that vehicle was, what happened in the accident, so who hit who, and what forces were involved. That we get the map data, we get traffic data, we get weather data. We also are able to ping the vehicle systems and pull back camera information real time, so they are immediately on top of the claim within their insurance organization. So all of that's done today. Interestingly, you can do some things that step over the edge a little bit. You can do some things which are going to test our understanding of what we want done with data. So if Plumman was involved in an accident this morning, heaven forbid, we could go out to his Facebook page and say, can you explain, you were involved in an accident at 7 in the morning, can you explain, there seemed to be some photographs of you dancing on a table last night at 4 a.m. having champagne poured over your head, and here you are in an accident at 7 a.m. This data is publicly available. It's going to test how we feel about the organizations that use it. But what it does do is drive out cost. So within the platform here, we can organize it, we apply business rules and events to it. Our key intellectual property is that we can synthesize information from thousands of different sensors without normalizing any of the data. We can apply consistent events to it, and then you grant people access to it, build applications on it, etc. So let's go back to the car insurance example. Today, every part of the car insurance market is being addressed by a silo of technology, whether it be assessing the viability to offer policies in a given market, whether it be assessing the risk of a candidate, whether it be driver behavior, what happens in the event of an accident, how quickly you get the accident repaired, and how you handle that claim. So what we've now built on our platform is the ability for all of that information to be interchanged. So it's now possible in real time to see what's happened in an accident and predict what the cost of repair is. And that process can happen within minutes, seconds of the accident. You can get replacement cars there, etc. So our technology has allowed this sharing of data across all of these different players in the market on a very open and non-proprietary basis. So, how does that affect other business models? And we're talking about conferences today. So we're going to try and do something which is either going to be very brave or very foolish, and that we are going to try and demonstrate something about the room here. It turns out this might be full. Oh no, here we are. So hopefully my colleagues over there will be loading this screen up for us. So sat on the W here of Webit is a little box of tricks that's measuring lots of things about this room right now and streaming this directly to the cloud. So we're able to see particulate levels, the humidity, temperature, carbon dioxide, etc. So if I could have, is anyone fit? Actually, I'll do this myself. If I breathe on this device, and this might be a reflection of last night as well, what you will start to see, all being well, is that there will be a peak arriving anytime soon on that data, showing our, let's come back to here, our humidity levels will start to rise. Here you go. So that is streaming from that device through my mobile phone here on the stage back to our cloud and can be made available. Now, Who cares about my breath? Yeah, nobody's bothered about that. But what is interesting is if that device was in the basement and it was measuring moisture, it would be nice if I was the insurer to know that there was some water ingress and maybe switch off the water in real time. And this is now what is possible with these sorts of devices. You know, it measures particulates, etc. For the purposes of the conference, one of the ideas that we came up with, we bought the wrong device unfortunately, is you can measure noise level. So we figured that one of the ways that in fact you could change this conference is you could offer a bonus to the presenters based on the level of noise they make during the round of applause. Yeah? So that's my challenge to you, because we've got another one over there, not streaming, that I'm going to come back to Plamon afterwards and say, listen, I got the best round of applause here. So I'm going to lay that challenge down to you. But anyway, the point with this technology is if you can gather enough information, organize it into sensible business workflows, and drive that into your business, you can change the type and nature of relationships that you have with your customers, and you can carve yourselves out some interesting positions in the market. And perhaps most of all, and most exciting, is that I think that this technology democratizes the environment in that it's easier for small companies to do than it is for big companies. So if there are budding entrepreneurs out there, I think that adopting the Internet of Things will allow you to build a very sustainable business. So that's me. Oh, that's me done. So if anyone wants to catch us, we're running the hackathon, or that's got an extra G on some of the posters. So it's a hackathon with a whole different meaning involved in that. I think that's Internet of Things under wearables. But anyway, we're running that upstairs if anyone wants to find us, and we're around and about. Thank you.